elected representative government that is not representing the will of the people. We've called, we've written, we've rallied, we've protested, and they didn't listen, and they passed health care. They passed one of the largest intrusions upon individual liberty in the history of our country. It's just another nail in the coffin of freedom. But we're not going to let it happen, are we? No! That's why we're here. We're here to say, not anymore. Enough is enough. We're bringing change to D.C. in November. Thank you again for coming.
Let's be clear. Government exists to protect the rights, to protect our rights, not take them away. Government has a role, but it must be limited, and that role is defined by our Constitution, both our federal Constitution and our state Constitution. The North Carolina Constitution is a rule book. It's not a list of suggestions, as many of our lawmakers think it is. And you'd be surprised how many of our lawmakers have not read the North Carolina Constitution. Now, 20 years ago, a group of North Carolinians got together to form the John Locke Foundation to promote the ideas of limited government, protect private property rights, and to promote personal responsibility. Now, we can be an effective participant, we can be an effective partner with you in these tea parties. We have a wealth of information on our websites at johnlocke.org, and many of you know about our newspaper, Carolina Journal, at carolinajournal.com. And
mine is a state election. It's not a federal election, but at the same time, I don't know how you can de-link the state and federal governments when it comes to that all of our taxes go to Washington. Now then, they decide how much they're going to give us back based upon how well we perform on their rules and regs for education, transportation, and other vital issues. They tell us how that we can do our business at the state level, and then they give us back our tax money to pay for some of it, but not all of it, and unfunded mandates, that we're strangling in unfunded mandates. So, I ask you now, are we going to be able to win in November at the state and federal levels? And if you say yes, my question is then, where do we go from there? Where do we go from there?
How many of you, speaking of tax day here, April 15th, how many of you remember our governor, Bev Perdue, signing a $1 billion tax increase last summer? How many remember that? That's right. And we at Civitas, what we're doing, we hope that you will join us in telling not only the politicians in D.C., but our state politicians in Raleigh that enough is enough. They need to stop the political payouts and corporate welfare, stop the avalanche of debt, and stop raising our taxes to finance your reckless spending sprees. But merely saying stop is not enough. That's why the Civitas Institute has come up with some conservative solutions of our own, and we created what we call our 20 and 2010 series, which offers 20 measures that state lawmakers can implement this year if they wanted to, which would lead us to a better North Carolina.
The word community, unfortunately, is often thrown around. And there are very few persons who have truly embraced what it means to commune with one another. For persons to commune with one another based on their shared heritage and their shared values. Communities are made up, one, of commerce, business, free enterprise. In this nation, in this representative democracy, here in the United States, persons have the ability to go into business for themselves. And unfortunately, there are those who sit in power currently, who we're going to remove in November, who believe that persons should be penalized for their success. If there is anything that is un-American, it is the idea that someone should be penalized for their success. And so I am emboldened and I am inspired by the number of long-lasting small businesses that exist throughout eastern North Carolina, and particularly here in northeastern North Carolina. But communities are also based on caring and compassion. As an ordained Baptist minister, I hope, if you don't mind, if I talk about the Lord for just 1 second. Is that all right?
Amen. Yes.
One of the most important things that Jesus did throughout the Gospels was to heal people. He was a healer. He did that because it was his mission. It was a part of his earthly ministry. If you notice, the Roman government did not do that because it's not the role of government to be involved in healthcare.
Amen.
But in the midst of Jesus walking throughout Judea, as he walked up and down the dusty roads of Galilee, healing, teaching, and preaching, he said to his followers, "Greater works than these shall you do." That means that we now have a calling and a commission to take care of one another.
Amen.
For us to take care of one another in a way that the government constitutionally is not supposed to.
Amen.
It is our job as people of this great nation to care for one another, to do what government should not and cannot do. And so in that sense, that means that we still have persons who are in the work of healing, providing care. And the reason that that is possible is because we have institutions such as the College of the Albemarle, in which nursing students are trained, in which we have faculty committed to training nurses and healthcare providers. Because we, the people, care for one another. That's not the role of government. That is what we do. But even at this time, there's one more dimension of a community that is important, along with commerce, along with compassion and care. There's safety. Our commerce could not exist unless we are safe. Our compassion and our care could not exist without protection. Being from Goldsboro, North Carolina, I'm so used to our skies being protected by the F-15Es that fly overhead day and night, as Seymour Johnson Air Force Base is located in Goldsboro. But it's wonderful for me at this moment to look at this beautiful coast and to know that this coast is protected and that all of us are safe right now. Unfortunately, there are persons throughout our nation who take our safety for granted, as if freedom is free. But you know and I know that freedom is paid for by the blood, by the sweat, and the tears of men and women in uniform who give their all in order for us to have our security.
I want to leave my children with a legacy where our history tells them how great of a country they've inherited, that doesn't put down our founders, that while it tells the truth about our history, both great and dark, my children will learn and live and believe the greatness that this country can be, the greatness that this country is, and the greatness that this country was. By God's grace, we live in the most free society in human history.
Amen.
But that freedom comes at a price. And you know that. Many of us have been busy raising our children, taking care of our businesses, volunteering in our churches and our communities. We've been trying to do what's right where we live. And while we've been doing that, the giant of government has grown larger and larger and larger and is taking away more and more of our freedoms and more of our hard-earned prosperity. And we've gotten to the point where we said, enough. This is too much. And you have been awoken. You have been aroused from your sleep. I have been awakened from my sleep. It is time to take this frustration, this anger, this difficult emotion that we feel and channel it and vote. It's time to take this energy, this power that you have as an individual, get the liberty that you still have left, and tell your neighbors exactly where it's at, exactly what it means to be an American, to live in a country where God gives us life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The government doesn't give that to you. Government should only protect that for you. And when the government begins to take that liberty from you, it's time to change hands. It's time to send somebody else who will go up there and they won't forget that we sent them there. And they won't forget that they answer to you. It's important for you and me not to fall asleep again, because my children may not have the same freedom that I have today to come and to speak like this unharassed. But I'm not going to let that happen on my watch.